Okay, crazy Thursday night game last night. I got something to say about the Falcons.
Max, you ever been to a Baptist church?
No, I have not been in a Baptist church, actually.
Well, I have.
Yeah.
Let
I'm
me
not a
tell you.
religious man. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you're young, I grew up, my aunt was like on the all-pew team at the church. That's like all NBA of churchgoers. And I'm telling you, she played every role.
Right.
Every role.
All right.
Valet, fundraising, Sunday school teacher. I used to be in church from like 8 in the morning to 8 at night. I would love for you to go one day.
What is this apropos?
No, I
of
was
what?
just thinking about it. I wanted to ask you that because I was traumatized by
I see.
the red juice and cookies from being in church for so long as a kid.
And that's on your brain for some reason right now.
For some
I
reason,
said
I was just
Atlanta
thinking about-
Falcons, and you thought Baptist church.
There's a lot of Baptist churches in Atlanta.
In Atlanta,
that's
that's
for
true.
sure.
I think
Okay,
the
what we
Falcons.
got?
I want to start
Falcons?
with the Falcons. By the way, great game, great comeback win, but Falcons, right? And then the NBA game that I thought was the most interesting last night was the Rockets. Can we do Falcons and then Rockets?
Rockets.
They squeaked by the Clippers, but I got stuff to say
close
about
game.
that. Yeah, it was.
I thought something happened at the end. They couldn't get the ball out of bounds.
I mean, the point I want to make about the Rockets is a little different, but I'm
couldn't get
curious
the ball
to see,
inbounds. I'm sorry.
Yeah, to see what you have to say about that. Now, we have a couple. I know you want to talk Shedeur, right? But
Max.
what's that? Yeah. No, I didn't wear a watch today. Let's talk Thunder. I want to go from Rockets to Thunder because let's stay on the NBA. Let's stay on the NBA.
Where's my eraser? I just make this a dollar sign because the Thunder is money.
Okay, there you go.
Thunder.
Look at that, thinking on your feet. That's a high school quarterback right there. Joe Burrow. I want to talk Burrow.
Cool Joe.
I love me some Joe Burrow. But this is related to LeBron, and I want to see what you think. And even Kobe, I want to see what you think about that. Now let's talk Shedeur. We're in Joe Burrow, right? So we're in Ohio. Let's stay there with Shedeur.
I'm just going to put a clock for Shedeur.
That's a matter of time. Yeah, you put all the numbers in.
Shedeur, baby.
All
what
right.
are you talking about?
I think that's a show, man. That's a lot of topics already. You're good with this?
I'm good. Let's go.
Well, let's take him to church.
Game Over is presented by FanDuel. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live, and your way, so you can build the bet that fits your play. Plus, don't miss out on holiday offers and surprises all month long. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/gameover to get started. 21 and over and present in select states or 18 and over and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Rich, I'm watching Thursday Night Football last night, and it was wild. Like as usual, the NFL gives you a very entertaining product. And the Bucs are collapsing, I get it, and the Falcons win, and finally Kyle Pitts has a big game, right? And all I could think about, I kept hearing your voice ringing in my ears about, you know where Lamar Jackson should go? Atlanta. And it made some sense. When I heard it the first time, I said I could see that. But the more I thought about it last night, the more I thought, man, this is just a dysfunctional franchise. They spent so much draft capital over the last handful of years, a top 5 pick on a tight end, a top 10 pick on a running back.
You think Atlanta's I don't think so.
I think they have a losing record every year.
But Atlanta has a great owner.
Okay.
And they have a good coach.
Never.
I don't think they're dysfunctional.
I think
I think you're being a little hard on the Falcons.
If you use a top 5 pick on a tight end and a top 10 pick on a running back, and then
those guys are good players,
and then sign a middle of the pack quarterback to a franchise level deal, and then turn around and draft another guy who's a bit of a project and creates a competition, and the veterans like, wait, what's going on to be your quarterback? Like, think about this. Kyle Pitts catches 3 touchdown passes, right? And it has not worked. His draft position versus his productivity.
What was he drafted for?
Overall, has not worked out. And now he's looking at free agency. So they are likely to lose him.
You don't think they'll re-sign him?
I mean, if I'm the Chiefs or if I'm the Patriots, if I think he can really play, if he carries this momentum, I have to think about that, right? It's like the Giants with Saquon Barkley. They draft him 2nd overall. He has 2,000 yards from scrimmage as a rookie, 15 touchdowns, Barry Sanders highlights. And so in other words, like, even though he's hurt a lot, it's working out. And then he just signs with the Eagles and they get nothing back for him. That's likely to happen with Pitts and the Falcons. But yeah.
But I'm saying in those scenarios, a lot happens in that. You have obviously the money, the financial portion of it is probably the biggest hurdle. Definitely in Saquon's case, they had to make a decision. But I just don't think that the Falcons are dysfunctional. I think that sometimes, like in the draft, you can't help who's there in terms of you have to take the best player there in terms of your need. I think they hit on Pitts and I think they hit on Bijan.
But even if that's the point about Pitts, out on Penix. They hit on Bijan, obviously. But that's the point about Pitts is I don't think most people would say they did hit on Pitts, but let's say it turns out that this is not an illusion, it's not a mirage, and he does this for the rest of the season. Even if you think they hit on Pitts, but it took him this many seasons to really get in the groove of things, you are likely then to lose him. You didn't get the productivity. You wasted the draft pick. He's going somewhere else. But the reason I bring up Atlanta as dysfunctional is because the basketball that I watched from yesterday was the Rockets and Clippers. And the Rockets squeak by a bad Clippers team. Squeak by. But I thought to myself, but you know what? That's a really good franchise. The Rockets are a team that have spent their draft capital wisely. Like if you look at Amen Thompson, if you look at Reed Shepard, if you look at Jabari Smith, right? If you just had that as a nucleus of young players that you used good draft capital on, even if none of them are franchise players, but you go, man, that's a nice young nucleus. And then you add Şengün and KD.
Well, Şengün was a part of their draft class. They
right.
him.
I'm saying, but if you just ignore their 2 best players and look at the other guys are good.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I disagree on the dysfunctional
of the Falcons.
I disagree with that. On this, I agree. Raphael Stone has done a really good job of 1, getting the talent. And then 2, he had to make a tough decision last year. I don't think he necessarily wanted to part ways with like a Dylan Brooks because Dylan Brooks anchors defensively. He brings this energy, this tenacity that you need to win games. But he had to make a choice, all right? So Dylan had to go because you're getting Kevin Durant back. Obviously, he would have loved to keep Dylan and Kevin Durant.
Sure.
But then when you look at from Fertitta to Raphael and what they've been able to do, 1, be a little patient, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Be a little patient. 2, okay, we're gonna take guys, but we're not gonna just take names or we're not gonna just take highlight guys. We're gonna take guys that we think kind of fit in where we're trying to go. So you get a guy like a Şengün. Then you identify, Şengün can actually do more than what we thought he could do.
Yeah, that turned out better than you could have hoped.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you start putting pieces around. Amen. Right. What he brings to the table night in and night out. He wreaks havoc. And he can
defensive superstar.
And he can do a lot more offensively than you think. Those guys, those Thompson guys, they're smart basketball players.
Even a guy like Kogi or someone like that, that's like a good piece.
You get a Kogi who knows his role.
And by the way, now with all these guys, he's hitting shots because you got to leave him alone.
Yeah, well, he was a first round pick coming out. But I agree in terms of what you're saying. But when you think about that, the patience that it takes, and then being able to draft some of these guys and then convincing those guys how important it is to play a role. So now when you get an opportunity to, you just have to wait, and then boom, we can plug a KD. Now, unfortunately, Fred went down.
Listen, if Van Vliet were coming back this year at some point.
How you know he's not coming back?
I don't know. Like if he does, okay, let's say this. If Van Vliet comes back, I'd have to see what it looks like, but I might be picking the Rockets to go all the way this year. I think the Rockets, by the time, if they're healthy, if they were fully healthy with Van Vliet by the time the playoffs came around, that is a lot. That's a lot.
Well, two things are happening right now. Shepard is getting an opportunity to play,
Right.
build confidence, right? He can really shoot the ball. We've seen some bright spots there. But if you can get a Fred back, that gives you that championship poise. Because the regular season and the playoffs is two different seasons.
You start Van Vliet if he came back?
Yeah.
I think I might. I mean, he'd be on the floor at the end of the game, but I might, as a sixth man, just heat it up. Sixth man, that's like they have everything at that point.
Well, I think, again, starting, yes, my answer to starting Van Vliet is yes, you start Van Vliet. But nevertheless, how you manage a game. Ime understands how to manage a game.
By the way, I didn't even mention that. A champion, like you have the coach, all is a huge thing. I didn't even mention it.
But the best part about Ime is accountability. If you ever watch him coach, he is holding everybody accountable. And he's not afraid to go at you. He was a player. Those type of guys, and not only, he was a role player when he played. He came from the Spurs. Obviously, I think he played for Portland as well. But when you take what he was as a player and you implement that into a coach, those guys become the best coaches.
So I know one of the things that we're going to do eventually is you're going to hose down some hot takes on this show. Because I know you've been...
I have to have my fireman suit.
We'll get you the fireman suit,
Yeah.
but you've been spending years now. You consume a lot of sports media, and you are privy to information that others aren't. And you have extraordinary powers of analysis, especially in basketball, right? Like, and you know these players in ways that other people don't. So you're able to predict success for certain players better than most. So
You just described why we decided to do the show.
yeah, for sure. And so what's funny to me is how many people think that you're here to do propaganda. By the way,
Me?
I'm sure you will do some propaganda. If I think you're doing it, I'm gonna call you out about it. But I read something like Lakers fans were reacting to you saying that Austin Reeves should come off the bench. I was the one who said Austin Reeves should come off the bench.
Yeah, you said that.
I said that he should be like Ginóbili or someone, right?
Well, again,
Yeah.
if you're talking having a championship, see, I think people don't understand. And look, you need that, right? You need people just flying off the handle, but the internet is like an Arnold Palmer of intelligence and ignorance. So it don't matter, right?
Yeah.
You need them both.
Good mix.
But what I would say is, if you have a championship team and the best case scenario for your team is for a player at the talent level of an Austin Reeves to come off your bench, I don't think Austin Reeves would have an issue with that.
You know what? I want to take I was about to say, would you hose down my hot take? The reason I said, hey, we'll do the fireman thing with you is if I said if the Rockets are fully healthy, they're going to win the chip this year because of OKC, right, being so dominant. That's a hot take. Would you hose that down?
No, I'm putting lighter fluid on that, and I'll tell you why. Because you have Ime,
Mm-hmm. Championship coach,
Fred,
championship, like, playmaking ball handler,
Kevin Durant,
one of the greatest players who ever lived,
and you have youth,
at the highest level in Sengun.
and then you have, I'm doubling up on Sengun because he's a matchup problem.
Are we saying Sengun or Sengun?
I'll just say really good player.
All right.
That's what I'll say,
Really good player.
right?
Really
that guy that's-
really good
The
player.
guy that's really good that's not named Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really good.
Fine. So when you have that, now this is what people don't understand. Obviously, I have partnerships with all teams, and I'm never going to say something on our show that I wouldn't say to them. But also what I'm not going to do is I can't lie to our subscribers. I can't get up here and fake the funk. That's never been me. I have to be authentic, right?
Sure.
So people look at me and say, oh, Rich is an agent. I heard a player or something say, oh, it's weird for Rich to talk like that.
That
What?
was, I'll shout him out, Kenyon Martin. And I thought,
It's weird for him to think like
no,
that.
but he was not being negative. If you listen to what Kenyon Martin said, they have a device on the show, and I'm forgetting if it was, but it was basically like good or bad, right? Hot or not, whatever that is.
No, it was something like, is he yeah,
But that's
like,
the
are you
idea.
buying it? Whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Buy or sell, right? And he refused to say, because he said it's neither. It's interesting. That is not negative. And what
I don't think Kenyon would be negative.
I think he's right. Like one of the reasons I was interested in this is because to me, it is interesting. Like a super agent giving opinions on sports is interesting.
Okay, so basically what everyone is saying is most agents don't know basketball.
Is that a fact?
That's what the reaction is saying. Because if you're a basketball agent and you don't know basketball, then how the hell could you be what are you doing then? Then you might as well just be a loan officer in that case. Like what?
No, but he's saying I think the reason Kenyon Martin felt that way, that it's interesting. Like I don't think he was being critical.
But he's
being critical, but
here's
he's using his critical thinking. But he's saying
it's
interesting because how do you thread that needle is what he's saying.
Yeah, but it's interesting because here's what people do. People expect me, because LeBron is on the Lakers, to only glaze a situation.
Right.
Right? But you don't know me.
Well, I know you, so that's why I wanted to do this.
But here's what I'm saying. LeBron wouldn't tell you that. JJ Redick wouldn't tell you that. Rob Pelinka wouldn't tell you that. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, okay, some things probably shouldn't be said, this and that. But we're doing a show and we're talking basketball.
And football.
No different than last year when I was on the Pat McAfee show and we talked about certain things in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I was very clear where I said a role player cannot get a technical foul in the playoffs in the first quarter. You cannot do that. We're trying to win a series and we're fighting for our lives. Again, going back to
it's a sports opinion from a very educated, privileged point of view, because you have information other people don't have.
Yeah, but it's not just information. The other I word, I also have insight. Right?
Sure,
This is not nobody telling me what to say or planting seeds or anything like that.
Right.
No, I'm my own man. And I'm gonna, if I commit to do a show with Max Kellerman and we get The Ringer and we got Jacoby produced these, are we gonna you see I'm come here? First of all, I have a day job.
I know.
You know what I did this morning? I got up and made my phone calls, did my push-ups, of course. And
How many push-ups you doing a day?
I do a sets of 50. And I also
how many? I'm saying at the end, because I remember when I was a kid.
probably do anywhere between 300 to 500 push-ups
You
in a
might
day.
be too young to remember the article. An article came out about Herschel Walker, that he does 1,000 push-ups a day.
I'm not comparing myself
but
to
I'm
Herschel
saying
Walker.
everyone I knew was like, oh, how many push-ups? Like trying to get to 1,000 a day.
Let me tell you something. One time, we was at the headquarters at Nike and I met Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
And Bo Jackson shook my hand. I'm telling you right now, I think he fractured my hand when he shook it.
Yeah. There's some athletes like that. You shake their hand, and it's like the old Flintstones thing where they pick you up and down.
And I was working on my backswing. You had to stretch for that. But nevertheless, no, it's like I have to be authentic and I have insight on the game. So again, that's not a knock to anything. That's just giving insight. Now, when you talk about the weird aspect of it, yes, has there ever been somebody in my position to have a platform and to be doing a podcast, you talking? Yeah, but that's just, you can say it's abnormal, right? You could be annoyed or you could be enamored. That's a you problem. That's not a me problem. So either whichever one you want to do, great. All I'm trying to do is give perspective and insight. And you decided to do the show with me, and somebody decided that it makes sense or we wouldn't be here with The Ringer and Spotify. So let's just do a great show.
So along those lines, because you got blamed for me saying Austin Reeves in a perfect world, not on this Lakers team, in a perfect world, is Manu Ginóbili, right? I was thinking.
Wait a minute.
Yeah?
That is the ultimate. Do you know the player that Manu Ginóbili was?
Well, this is what I'm getting to. Another thought I had before we move on, watching the game last night, watching James Harden, is Like in Harden, you have a guy who
One of the best two guards to ever play this game.
who has a style of play. And I was thinking about Ginóbili because two left-handed guards, both 6 men originally. One guy, stays a 6 man and wins multiple championships. The other guy gets his own team basically and teams and runs offenses. Who would you rather be? Like, and that's Austin Reeves has a choice to make. And the fact that they're around the same height, they're both left-handed, they did certain things similar, but their careers took very different paths. I think most people, if they were in that situation, would choose James Harden's route, even though it didn't result in championships, because you make so much more money and you're perceived as much better. Most people perceive Harden as way above Ginóbili, whether or not that's true. So the incentives are there to encourage players. Like, the reason I bring it up is because Austin Reeves will face a decision soon, right? Does he want the kind of career where he gets his own team, maxes out the money he makes, but if that happens, maybe doesn't win a championship ever? Or does he want to be the kind of player who's used in a role for which he's probably overqualified, but maybe wins championships?
I think James would have embraced the 6-man role. It wasn't his fault. He didn't ask to leave.
Right.
He actually played the same role as Ginóbili, and he played it very well.
Sure.
And that Thunder team was really good. KD, Russ, James, Ibaka.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Big perk.
But Daryl Morey identified him as a guy who could run the whole show.
Yeah, but that was because they chose not to pay originally. Right. Like it wasn't like James was like, I want to leave.
But even if the team chooses to pay, Rich, we both know you will never make the money as a 6th man that you will make as the franchise player.
100%. So you're saying, would I rather have the money and the stature of a James Harden, have my own team, versus 5 rings in Ginóbili?
Right. Wait, did he wind up with 5? Was he there for all 5? No, he wasn't there for all 5.
Well, 4.
Yeah.
He wasn't there in 99, but he was there the rest of the way. Let me get back to you on that one. Because
as an agent, you would see, if you're as Rich Paul,
the agent, I mean,
if you're advising a guy like, I won't use Austin Reeves exactly, but how could you possibly tell him, take half the career earnings and not be perceived for as great as you actually are, instead of, win championships?
It's such an unfair intersection of being an athlete. And let me tell you why. Because you grow up as an athlete, and this is another issue, because this is why youth sports is broken in America. Youth sports is definitely broken in America, but we're gonna save that.
I think that's an uncontroversial take.
But it's such an interesting intersection, because you grow up, that Wheatie box, champion. You want to be a champion. They teach you to be a champion, how important winning is, right? But then there's a world where you see guys that have won championships pawn their rings because they can't pay their bills. And so if you're asking me in life, what would I rather do? Give me James Harden's bank, right? But if you're asking me as a basketball player, I want Ginobili's ring.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, and so there are perverse
but
incentives in the NBA.
But 2 things can be true. I don't think you have to choose one or the other. Two things can be true.
If you're Austin Reeves, you do have to choose.
Well, listen, I think Austin Reeves can do both. I think Austin Reeves can get paid a whole lot of money, keep his platform, stay next to a guy like Luka, and with an organization that drafted him and developed him, as long as it's not like drastic. Yeah, and he's good enough to do just that. But at the same time, if this business teaches you nothing else, it teaches you that it's a business.
So I want to get back to that was a little tangent, but I wanted to talk about the Thunder today too, because they're 24-1 now, and I said, and my hot take would be, if the Rockets were fully healthy, as long as it looks the way I think it would look, I think I would pick them.
Are they the biggest
this,
contender to
this
the,
year? Yeah, but the Thunder are 24-1, and people are talking about them as though they're ruining basketball because they're so dominant. And usually,
ruining basketball is wild.
Usually, that's where the argument stops. Now the punditry is, the pundits say about that stuff. I think either dynasties are good for the game or dynasties are bad for the game. But let me just put the brakes on that for a second. Here's my take, okay? The Thunder are really good, and they're going to get better because Presti's so good. He's got crazy draft capital also. The Thunder beat a Nuggets team without Aaron Gordon, who was the difference in making that Nuggets team go from dangerous to crazy good. Then that's in 7 games. Then in Game 7 in the finals, in a close game, the best player on the other team, Halliburton, goes down, and then the Thunder pull away and win. There's no guarantee that given the health of the other teams, they would have even won last year. And what I'm saying now is, if the Rockets are at full strength, I don't know that the Thunder win this year.
Max, we have to stop this.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you why.
Stop what?
That has always been a part of our game.
What, injuries?
Injuries, yes. When Isaiah twisted his ankle in the finals against the Lakers,
Yep.
The Lakers won that series, right?
Sure.
Nobody threw a pity party for the Pistons. But
it also wasn't break up the Lakers.
No, but what I'm saying is, with a healthy Isaiah, who knows? The Pistons stand a better chance to win. Here's another example. Kyrie and Kevin Love went down in 2015.
Yes.
Kyrie and Kevin Love went down. The Warriors won.
But Rich, that's what I'm saying. People are comparing this Thunder team to those Warriors teams.
I think it's a little too soon for that. But also, we have to stop always wanting the popular teams to be good. No.
You mean the big market teams?
Yeah. Give Sam Presti his credit. Give Shea his credit. Because you know why? Shea makes every player on that team feel as if they are important on that team.
I've heard you talk about this before.
And you know what every player on that team does? Understands that when it matters most, we're going to ride with Shea. Period.
I've heard. Could you before we go on? I want you to talk a little bit more about that so people can hear, because you and I have had conversations about certain players who make the other guys feel important and what that does for the team.
But here's the thing. That's in basketball. That's in leadership. When you are the guy, you have to decide how you want to lead your guys. This is just a fact.
And that helps the people play their roles?
That helps the people. Not only does it help them play their role, in the NBA, you know what the regular season is for? The regular season for the guys that they know they're going to make the playoffs is only about building confidence, perfecting habits, things of that nature, right? Getting a rhythm, getting camaraderie. All those things are important.
Seeding.
Yeah. Well, a seeding don't matter. Do you remember the year that I think Atlanta was number 1 and the Cavs swept them?
Yep. First
Seeding,
round.
yeah, the seeding thing, great. But again, when you talk about the best players and how they lead, if you ask any general manager, what would they rather have? They would tell you, over a guy scoring 50 a night, I'd rather have a guy that I don't have to do the job of leading the team. I remember before the bubble, I was talking to LJ, and I said to him, I said, Bron, you know going into this bubble, you're going to have to lead this team different. And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, in the bubble, body language and things like that means even more. Because now you're in the bubble. You're away from your family, your kids, your wives. And so what could be nothing in LA or in Boston or in Miami or in DC at a game in the arena means a whole lot more in that bubble. So this whole thing is about mental warfare. It's not necessarily about only the basketball play, because you're so isolated and the world is
so
stopped.
Every little
and all
thing
these
gets
things.
magnified.
Every little thing.
Amplified.
Yeah. And I remember having like, when you are a star player, if I know I can take the last shot every time, okay, we playing let's just say we playing Sacramento on a Tuesday night. I may not have it going tonight, but this guy does. It's the last shot. I may give him the ball. And I told a player that I once represented this because he had a little issue, and it was a little issue with the teammates actually buying into him, and he needed to develop his skill set from that perspective. Because when you're a star player, it's not just about stats. You have to be willing to do all of these other things. That's why being the face of the league is a real job.
All right, that's a whole other face of the
We're
league.
not gonna
We can
talk
do
about that.
another.
But here's what I'm
We
saying.
could do
But I
another
want to get to this
day.
point.
That's a big
So,
topic.
but when I said to them, I said, pass the ball, game-winning moment. If your guy makes it, you get on the podium and you say, you know what? I trust my teammates. If your guy misses it, you get on that podium and you still say, I trust my teammates.
Next time.
And guess what? If I get in that position again, I'm going to give it to him again. That makes a guy run through a brick wall. So going back to Shea is happy to see Aaron Wiggins. Do you know Isaiah Joe was on the Sixers?
Mhm.
He was released. They picked him up off waivers. Do you watch Isaiah Joe play?
Yeah.
You see how he makes shots consecutively? A lot of this stuff is just about these young players getting an opportunity, and then when that opportunity comes, that organization actually believes.
And by
in
the
them.
way,
so Shea leads
I want
that
to do
way.
the Thunder Warriors thing for a second, because Steph also created a situation where you could plug in players and they're going to get better because they're playing with Steph, right? For maybe other reasons than Shea, but still. But the Thunder do remind me a lot of the Warriors, because the Warriors in 2015 won the championship, but were the second best team in basketball. It was very obvious, very obvious.
Who do you
Rich.
think the key to the Thunder is? What player is the
Shea.
most? No,
Who's the key to the Thunder?
Lou Dort.
Because,
You know what you're getting from Shea.
right? Oh, you're saying the swing
saying that
player, how they played
the-
depends.
yes.
But hold on, let me stay with the Thunder Warriors comparison for a second. The Cavs don't have Kyrie or Kevin Love, and Dellavedova is LeBron's second best
Played
player.
out of his mind.
And it still goes 6 games. At the end of that series, it was clear to me as a basketball fan that at full strength, the Warriors were the second best team in basketball, not the best team in basketball, but they won the championship. They took advantage of the fact that the Cavs got hurt. The next year, the Warriors set the record for wins in the regular season and did not win the championship because, once again, the Cavs were the best team in basketball, okay? And I thought at that time that your guy, that LeBron James, was worth twice what any other superstar was worth. And I think the league agreed with that because Kevin Durant went to the Warriors. It's really a compliment to your guy, because they're looking over at LeBron and going, we can't do it. And KD's thinking, me neither. Let's get together. And that put them over the top. I bring all of this up to make the following point. The Warriors, to me, are very much, the Thunder right now, to me, are very much where the Warriors were in 2016, coming out of 15. They have this incredible record, just like the Warriors did in 2016. They're coming off a championship, just like the Warriors did in 2015. In that championship, they were fortunate that key players on the other team were unavailable. It's not that they were hurting, it's that they weren't on the court in consecutive series, which to me, maybe they win out anyway, but maybe they don't. Okay, so very similar to the Warriors. Remember, the Warriors lost in 16 and had to acquire Kevin Durant to go on that monster run where they just crushed everybody. So I think the comparisons to the Warriors are apt, and I think that people forget that the Warriors didn't just take over basketball as they were constructed in 15 and 16. It took that plus the addition of one of the greatest players ever in his prime to give us the impression we now have of those Warriors. In other words, what I'm saying is the argument seems to be whether dynasties are good or bad for basketball. And I'm saying it is far from certain that this Thunder team is a dynasty.
Well, I'll say this. I'm not mad at the Warriors going to get Kevin Durant, because that's a mindset, right? People always look at the player and say, oh, they should have won. But yeah, it takes two to tango. You can only win with what the front office and the ownership group allows you to play alongside of. So in that case, if you know Joe Lacob, who's my guy, Joe Lacob's mindset is he wants to win preseason game, he wants to win summer league game, he wants to win every playoff game. I want that guy. Bob Myers, he also wants to win. So you know what? Yeah, this is chess. This is not checkers. Go and get Kevin Durant, and guess what? If they could have got Kevin Durant and whoever else, they would have. So now
I'm not complaining about that. I'm just pointing out without that move, we don't think of the Warriors the same way. And this Thunder team is the pre-Durant Warriors.
And I can guarantee you,
who were kind of lucky to even win one championship.
I can guarantee you, Sam Presti is not sitting on his hands.
I see what you're saying.
At 23
and they got crazy draft capital.
At 23-1, right. I can guarantee you that Sam Presti is not satisfied.
So the Thunder really are the Warriors.
Well, but again, we don't want to put the buggy before the horse. They've won one championship. Let's see what happens.
The Thunder, the Thunder are the Warriors in 2016.
Fair. All I'm saying is the mindset of the front office and the players is, I can guarantee you those guys aren't satisfied. And we, as a basketball community, has to stop only wanting the popular teams to be good. Let me tell you something. In 2008, maybe it was 2007, maybe it was 6, whatever. I'm walking out of the arena with Joe Dumars. Me and Joe, we walking. And I used to always pick these guys' brains when I was coming up. And I said something to Joe about how good the Pistons were or whatever, and it was the end of the season. And he said, he basically told me in so many words, Rich, I'm going back to Detroit. I'm getting in my office and I'm going to work. And I'm like, well, shit, Joe, y'all done been to I don't know how many Eastern Conference Finals, et cetera. And he said, when you're as good as we are, you never come back stagnant. That always stuck with me, even outside of basketball. And I'm like, normally you'd be popping champagne as much as and he's like, so again, but when you look at who Joe Dumars was as a player, he took on every challenge, didn't matter who it was. You get what I'm saying?
100%.
That is mindset.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
So,
yes, I think what the Warriors were, the Thunder could also emulate exactly that or align that synergy is there. The verdict is still out because they have to continue to get. But
they
back
are. As I went through the comparison, it's eerily similar.
Yeah,
you win a championship, other team is hurt. That's maybe why you did it. The following season, you run off an historical record, a historical run in terms of your wins and losses. Remains to be seen whether you can win. Competitive front office, competitive franchise may add another piece. Okay, so I want to get to Ohio. You want to talk some Ohio sports?
I'm Mr. Ohio. I never won Mr. Ohio. I wasn't good enough as an athlete. But
I figured you might want that.
Browns and Buckeyes, baby. Browns and Buckeyes.
This is the Bengals, though. Joe Burrow.
I mean, if the Browns isn't in it and the Bengals are in it,
you become a Bengals fan?
I root for Burrow. Yeah.
Joe Burrow is one of my favorite. Joe Burrow, Jackson Darks, I'm a Giants fan. And Mahomes has just been crazy. But Joe Burrow might be, other than Dart, my favorite quarterback in football. And let me tell you why. He was the quarterback of the greatest college football season ever. They capped that season.
That was a great team. That was a great team.
It was. They capped the season with a championship in which he had the greatest championship game of all time. He's drafted number 1. The next time he's fully healthy on a football field, he's sauntering into the AFC championship game in a mink coat like he's Joe Namath. And then beating Patrick Mahomes to get to the Super Bowl. So I love me some Joe Burrow.
You can't hate. Nobody could be able to hate on Joe Burrow. You shouldn't.
Joe Burrow is net. But once they got to the Super Bowl, they were beaten. Yeah. Partly because he has no protection. He's been sacked more than he's probably getting sacked now somewhere, for all we know, more than anyone. And he reminds me so much.
You think he's getting sacked at Starbucks?
Right now, someone's tackling him. he reminds me so much of another Ohio athlete that you may be familiar with, LeBron James, where LeBron dragged the team, maybe one of the least talented teams ever, to the finals in his first go-round with the Cavs.
07?
Yeah, and they lose, of course. And I remember as a fan, and you could tell me if I'm right or wrong, watching from a distance, seeing them pass on a trade centered around J.J. Hickson for Amari Stoudemire. And to me, that had to be when LeBron was like—
Oh, that was tough.
LeBron must have been like, if I stay here, I'll get criticism, whatever, but if I stay where I am, I have one life, I have one career. If I stay where I am, I'll never get to the promised land because this franchise won't do what it takes. By the way, Kobe did the same thing to the Lakers. Like when they wouldn't put people around him, he said, trade me to the Clippers. And then they went and got him Pau Gasol. Burrow seems to me from afar to be doing that right now, saying, I can't keep doing it like this. Something's got to change. And it reminds me of your guy.
Yeah, I think Joe Burrow should go to the Giants.
What?
I would love to see Joe Burrow
Jackson Dart
on the
good.
Giants. No offense to you, Jackson Dart. I think you're a very fly guy. But Joe Burrow in a New York Giants uniform,
yeah, it'd be crazy.
It's like Snoop coming through and crushing the buildings.
Yeah.
Like it's Joe Burrow. No offense to Jackson. I think Jackson Dart's going to get his money. He's a hell of a football player.
Or at least
player.
Capone and Noriega clapping back on that.
Fair, or it's like Nas. By the way, Nas and Premier just dropped a new album. I don't know if you knew that, but it's like that's like Joe Burrow and the Giants with Malik Neighbors. They both went to LSU. I'm just telling you. But anyway, I understand. Yes, and this is what's underrated about athletes. Again, going back to the LJ situation. I, at that moment, was not as mentally positioned where he was at in terms of, obviously, he's the player. So the getting out of there thing was tough for me, obviously, being from Cleveland. But also, I'm just like this Mighty Mouse type of guy. Like, we could beat anybody. It don't matter.
Believe in ourselves.
But when you really think about it, you think about the success of people, of athletes. It takes a lot, right? When you think about what the Patriots did around Brady, when you think about what Jerry Krause did around Michael, when you think about even what the Lakers did around Kobe,
it's hard to get
and
it right.
Shaq. It's hard. It's very hard to get it right. And so, but when an athlete takes the position that they take, whether it's media, whether it's fans, you're not looking at it holistically. So in Joe Burrow's case, and I saw some of the take, what he said. I know I think one of his teammates thought it was like AI or something, I think he was saying. Which leads me to, I want to see Joe Burrow on the Giants.
Yeah, but you bring this up now. Any other moment of my life, I would say, are you kidding? As a Giants fan, that's all I want. My favorite quarterback on my team. Giants got the guy. They got a guy on a rookie deal who's—
Is he better than Joe Burrow?
I mean, does he have the chance to be on that level? Yeah, he has the chance to be on that level. Jackson Dart is like
I like
that.
Jackson Dart,
He
but
is
I like Joe
like
Burrow
that.
better.
I right now, of course, he's more experienced quarterback.
So let me ask you this question.
Jackson Dart is one of those guys.
Okay. So what you're saying as a Giants fan, that if you had the chance to put Joe Burrow on the Giants right now.
Oh, no, I got my guy.
Really?
Yeah. Like Drake May is the guy right now of all the young ascending quarterbacks. I'm not convinced Drake May is going to wind up better than Jackson Dart. We'll see.
So where would you place Joe Burrow?
I don't think you're going to have to place him. That's what I'm saying. Like Kobe didn't leave, LeBron did. But there's enough evidence in front of owners now to understand when that guy takes a position like this publicly, you got to fix that because you're not going to just find another Joe Burrow.
You're saying, okay, that's fair. I mean, yeah, I think you're saying you think he doesn't want to leave.
I don't know.
You think he just wanted to fix it.
I think I think I don't know. The answer is I don't know. I don't have information on that.
But-
But it seems to me what he's saying is either fix it or I'm out. And I'm imagining Cincinnati will try to fix it.
Yeah, they should. But it's such a hard thing.
Right. Just
Like-
because you try doesn't mean you're going to get it right.
And it's football. Any given Sunday, it's football. The thing that bothers me is all these guys are going up. Football is a real sport. Like I watch games on Sunday and I'm like, wow, this
It's
is
the ultimate team sport.
This is yeah. So, I mean, things happen. You come all the way back, game winning. You know, I've been a part of the drive and the fumble. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan.
Oh, I see.
You mean? What are
Yeah,
you
as a
talking
fan.
about? You
As
don't
a
know
fan.
that?
Yeah, as a fan. Yeah.
And the other day, I had the opportunity.
I thought you were going to tell me Legends of Rich. You were somehow on the field or something. But
No,
go ahead. Yeah.
no, no. But the other day, I happened to be.
Because you have some stories like Fat Joe sometimes, where Fat Joe
No,
will be
Fat Joe.
six.
No, I just did Joe and Jada.
Yeah.
Hilarious, by the way.
They're great. But I'm saying Fat Joe will say stuff that really happened,
He's-
but it's so incredible that
Yeah.
people think that he's the.
But-
And sometimes you will say stuff that's like Legends of Rich.
But the other day, speaking of the fumble and the drive, I was on the golf course with John Elway.
Okay. See, here we go.
And I'm like,
This is what I'm talking about.
it's John Elway. I mean, I was a quarterback, my Sims Raiders team. I wore number 7. Really because of John Elway.
Sure.
Really. But I was torn because I'm like, damn, John, like we could, like you couldn't give us one? Like just, you had to drive all the way down there. Like, and my dad is singing Brownstown. And I'm thinking, we had the song, Bernie, Bernie. Oh, man.
You want to
the
talk about
Super
the Browns
Bowl.
right now?
No, I'm just saying.
No, I'm saying
but-
let's talk about the Browns right now.
Fair, but what I'm saying is, I was torn.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is Elway, my guy. But what you did to my Browns,
Yeah,
man, this
of
is
course. Evil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. But it was I just,
Yeah, there are guys
I took
like
the
that.
high road.
There are guys like that. Like if I don't think I've ever met him in person. If I bump into David Ortiz, I don't want anything to do with him as a Yankees fan. Killed us. Just a killer.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Listen, Shedeur Sanders. Let's stay in Ohio. You got it. I don't have my watch on today. It works. Let's stay in
just-
Ohio. You draft him in the 5th round, and
Lucky
he is.
us.
And at this moment, he is a promising, ascending, starting quarterback.
Lucky us.
5th round pick. Not
lucky
bad.
me and lucky us. Shedeur's Deion Sanders is his father.
Yep.
Right? So,
Didn't inherit the speed though.
yeah, he's not playing cornerback.
And by the way, he's better moving around than advertised. Like on the professional level,
I don't
he
ca-
looks more comfortable.
Listen.
He's more mobile than it looked like he was going to
What
be.
he did inherit
Yeah.
is a competitive gene. And as a quarterback on the Browns, he cares. He's handled everything you've asked him to handle. He's went from Jackson State to Colorado. He's turned programs that wasn't even in the conversation into, pop culture-esque type of environments.
For sure.
If for us, but here's what I'll say. I understand why. I don't understand why he dropped to the 5th round, which is fine, right? I'm not an NFL expert. I don't understand that. But I know football from what I watch every day. But lucky us and lucky me. I'm glad to have Shedeur. But with that being said, I also understand why the Browns couldn't necessarily just throw him in the fire after taking Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, because it's actually one of those things where Shedeur's football is one thing. His enterprise value is a whole other thing. And to be respectful to the guy they picked in the 3rd round, that's kind of tough. So you have to give him an opportunity first, because if you don't, I'm not saying you have to. They chose to. Because if you don't, if you just, and then now Shedeur plays well, it's almost like, Shedeur and Lynn Sanity is kind of like one of those.
Except one came in with a lot more fanfare.
Fair point. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is the enterprise value of both.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
You trying to come playing behind one of those guys, and they got it rolling. How you think it became Linsanity? So for me, I'm happy that Shedeur's getting the opportunity. I'm also happy that I'm saying "our" because the Browns are my
it's your team. I'm not one.
Our
Say
front
we.
o-
I say
yeah,
we about the Giants and the Yankees.
saying-
Say we.
Our front office handled things the way they wanted to handle it. You know, contrary to what people may think, Kevin Stefanski, great, and he came out and said, so going forward, Shedeur's going to be our starting quarterback, and I'm glad he's getting the reps. We can't, things have to happen on the timeline that it's supposed to happen.
Right. Wait,
for you.
I got a lot to say about that. Starting with first thing you said about Deion. This is his son. Deion Sanders is not only like if I was drafting my all-time NFL team, he's my number 2 pick
Behind who?
Behind Lawrence Taylor.
Okay, fair.
Because I think you get a premium. Like Lawrence Taylor is, to me, so much better than anyone who ever played that position. You get a premium there. A lot of great quarterbacks, but there was never anyone like Lawrence Taylor or Deion Sanders.
No.
Like Deion Sanders, to me, watching he's so much better than anyone else I've ever seen play that position. And so like usually a guy who is that great a player, when you talk about the greatest athletes of all time, short list, Deion Sanders has to be there, multi-sport athlete. When you talk about the greatest at his position all time, any sport, Deion Sanders is in that conversation with the greatest players who ever lived in any sport. That guy almost never becomes a coach. Almost never becomes a coach. Deion Sanders became a coach. So it's not just that he is, that it's his kid and whatever he gets DNA physically, but he's the type of person who also wants to coach the game. So the bloodline there is crazy, right? It's crazy. Shedeur, I think, becomes a kind of racial flashpoint. I think this breaks down along racial lines. There's some athletes that come along, and people don't always want to say it, but I think it's there. I think that he had something about his personality. You hear like the Giants hated his interview. And by the way, they took Jackson Dart, who I think is better than Shedeur. I'm glad they took Jackson Dart. But you heard that he had a really awful interview with the Giants. But then again, the Giants were a bad franchise. Who knows why that went sideways. But people start to, I think there's a reaction among people who it feels like are entrenched in power, and a lot of them are white, who say this guy isn't good. And I'm speaking in broad, like big generalities here. And I think there's a sense among black people, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong from your point of view or from your own experience. Well, you can't speak for all black people, just like I couldn't speak for white people or Jewish people or something, but just from your experience. I think there's a sense like a reaction like, oh, here we go again. You're going to tell us that this guy isn't good. And I think then the counter to that is, well, yeah, I understand why this group of people may feel that we're attacking this guy and you're used to that. But in this case, we have good reason. He had a bad interview, has the wrong attitude, he's not fast enough, he's not big enough, et cetera, et cetera. And I think the counter to that reaction is, yeah, we've heard this before. It's always, but in this case. It's always, yes, that's happened in the past, but that's not happening this time. So I think that becomes, without anyone putting a name to it, there's like this undercurrent there that is correlated at least to kind of racial tension. And in Shedeur, I'm in a position like I'm watching Shedeur like it's hard to tell who's going to be good out of college, right? Especially a dude who can't outrun the linebackers, especially a dude who's not 6'6". You just don't know. And Shedeur is super interesting right now because he is showing signs that he might be able to actually do it. He has a great deep ball. He's more mobile than people really think. He like all this kind of stuff, and he's putting up numbers too. Finally, the last point I want to make about it, because you touched on it, was there's this sense in the NFL that you need to win while your quarterback's on his rookie deal, which is not even true. Usually veteran quarterbacks win the Super Bowl.
Well, rookie quarterbacks didn't even used to play.
That's the
Brady
point.
got his chance because Bledsoe got hurt.
Especially with a guy who's not going to outrun the linebackers, who's not 6'6", and all that stuff. Usually, they hold the clipboard for most of the season. They get into a few games rookie year. Second year, they take over the job, but they're not good yet.
Rodgers and
there's so many different year, scenarios. Okay, that's a quarterback. And by the middle of their fourth year, you have to look at them and say, that guy is going to get to the second contract. He's going to be our franchise guy. People want to rush through that process. Shedeur Sanders is a classic example of a quarterback who is showing promise toward the end of his rookie season. And the jury is out for me. I don't know if he'll do it or not, but I think that's where he is. All right, that's everything I have to say about Shedeur Sanders.
You know, all this was like a line in basketball, too. The rookie didn't used to play.
Yep.
They used to sit on the side in street clothes for half the season. But going back to Shedeur and going back to Deion, is Deion, like you said, normally Deion wouldn't coach. The level of player that he was wouldn't coach. But he cares. He cares about kids. He cares about how kids play the game. And he loves teaching. That's just who he is, right?
Very rare for a guy
Very
who's
rare.
that good an athlete.
Very rare. The other thing that's rare is for a guy to have everything. Like Deion had everything you can have. He's a case study for what a superstar athlete should be. He had the flair, he had the conversation, he had the intellect, he had the game, he had the style. He had literally, I remember.
Can I say something real quick? He was also, people don't realize this, he was on his way to becoming a truly great baseball player. Like, people don't understand how good he was. He didn't have a lot of reps. He didn't play full seasons, but he was not only a pretty high on base percentage leadoff guy, but he was a guy and who could play crazy center field because he was just so fast. But he was also a guy who hit in the postseason. He hit the best pitching in the playoffs. Like, I always thought he was going to be, had he stuck with it, a better baseball player than Bo Jackson, for example.
And if you add in the fact that his shoe, signature shoe, I put Deion's signature shoe catalog up against all the greats.
Yeah, he had it all.
Barkley, Jordan, they all was, so he had literally the total package. Even the music must be the money. You can't front on it. Listen, you cannot front on it at the end of the day. And so when I look at Shedeur, the other thing he did is he raised his boys right.
Right.
At the end, no offense to the Giants, I'm not going to say the Giants looked at it a certain way. They chose who they chose. Jackson Dart's.
And I'm happy with it as a Giants fan.
He's a good quarterback, and he has a good, promising future. Great. But I do think that sometimes we have to stop looking at players the way our school system looks at students. Every kid don't learn the same. So you want me to fit inside of this silhouette that you have of what this quarterback should be. I'm different. Just like you want me to read this textbook from 100 years ago, I don't learn that way. I may be a visual learner. I may not learn by reading something. You get what I'm saying? And so we have the issues in both, on the field and off the field, that's stunning the growth of all these young men and women, if we're really being honest about it. So I'm Shedeur. I'm Shedeur all day long.
Yeah, with the whole thing today is Shedeur. Chain outside, the sweatshirt, the whole thing.
Well, I have different styles, Max. You have one style, I have an array of styles because I've evolved and I have different experiences and things like this style you're seeing right. This is what you call a St. Clair Gardens type of style. This is like, this is different. You may call it uptown.
Uptown.
Yeah,
I would say in New York, that'd be called uptown.
But you look great. I hate you forgot your watch. Every man should have a nice, not expensive watch, just a nice watch.
For most of America, Submariner is an expensive watch, just so you know.
A Submariner is a great watch. Yeah. But I'm just saying, just to complete the look.
Yeah.
But no, I'm Shedeur all day long, and I got to get my jersey.
They don't call him Poor Paul. His name is Rich Paul.
My mom named me. That's just my government. Can't help that.
Rich, your first week in the media.
Max, I want to say something.
Yeah.
You cooked today.
I thought you did too.
You made me better today.
Yeah, likewise. I appreciate it.
I'm a rookie. You're the vet.
Good. Well, how do you feel about your rookie week?
I'm making progress.
Yeah.
I'm open. I'm coachable.
Mm.
So I'm good. Good week though.
I thought that was fun.
That was fun.
You ready to
we
do
got
it again
better today.
next
I'll
week?
see you on Monday.
And then the week after that, and the week after that, forever?
Let's do it. I may be on the road at some point
Yeah. We anticipated
because I do have a
this.
day job. Don't forget.
We anticipated this. Yeah.
But good
right.
show.
I'll see you on Monday.
See you on Monday.
Must be 21 and over in present and select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and over and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.